Hi there and welcome to another video where I get to share my tips on how you can become a successful consultant. In today's video, it's all about the importance of first impression when it comes to consultancy. Why? Because first impression can make or break your consultancy. And what I mean by first impression is what happens, how does the client perceive you when they meet you for the first time? Do you give them the confidence that they are making the right decision? Do you give them the confidence that they are dealing with an expert? So remember, a positive first impression, it will determine whether a client will decide to do business with you or a competitor. So you really cannot mess up the first interaction, the first meeting. And today I'll be sharing with you tips on how you can be able to make a positive and long-lasting impression so that the client can put a tick and go ahead and even give you the business. Now you have to remember that unlike a product, if you're selling cups, you're selling a book, the client can be able to perceive the value. They can be able to look at whatever you're offering and look at the quality, look at the specification and see, okay, do I want to go with this product or not? But in terms of service is very subjective, and the client will be looking at you to be able to determine whether are you worth the price, is the service you're offering me worth the price, and should I even engage you? So it's really important that you are able to make a first impression from the word go. And when it comes to impression, there are two things that the client will be looking at when it comes to you and when it comes to your presentation. And the first one is your appearance. How do you look? Your manner of dressing, and closely related to how you look is your communication skills. Are you confident? Do you look like you know what you're talking about? Do you have experience? All this is during the first interaction. And the second thing that the client will be looking at is your level of expertise and knowledge. So are you a subject matter expert? You will agree with me, sometimes if you go and you meet a mechanic, depending on the way they treat you, the first few minutes, you'll be able to see, am I going to leave my car with this person? Even forget a mechanic. Even if you are to go into a salon or a barber, and depending on the kind of questions this person is asking you, you'll be able to see, can I entrust my my beauty or whatever service you are looking for from that person, can you entrust them to be able to deliver? So unlike a product, as in the service industry, we need to know that whatever we offer, it's quite subjective, and the client or a prospective customer, they'll be looking at us to be able to determine whether we are really worth engaging. And having discussed that, then what are some of the things that you need to consider? Number one, and I had mentioned this, is your dress. Your dressing is a reflection of your competence. That is why you find, look at lawyers. How do lawyers dress? They always be in a smart suit. They always be in ties. If it's ladies, they're always in skirts. The corporate look. They even go ahead. They're very specific with the kind of colors that they dress. Conservative, professional, and colors that even give credibility. So for example, me, Friday here at work, it's a dress down. But I always advise even my staff that even if I'm called for a meeting, sometimes if it's a client who I've never met, if it's very important, I would rather even go home and change. If I don't have a chance to go back home and change, then I can ask to reschedule that meeting for next week, a time when I feel that I'm well dressed for the meeting. Because you meet a client, you're dressed in jeans, the client will look at you, yes, it's the first time you're meeting, it's on a Friday, even then probably they are, they are casually dressed, but it will be sending a certain message to the client. And trust me, your confidence will be affected, and the probability of even the client taking you seriously may be affected. Now, dressing, you must also realize it goes by the culture. It also determines where you are from, So for example, in the Western world, I've seen consultants who go to meeting in jeans, they don't wear ties, they just wear a shirt and even sometimes jeans. And in that part of the world, it's okay. But here, My experience is that the more formal you are, the better. You are able to give the client confidence that you know what you're talking about. When it comes to first impression, you also need to consider your marketing materials. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the business card that you have. It goes without saying that whenever you're going to a meeting, you obviously carry a business card. But how does that business card look like? What information have you indicated there? So myself, I've had a chance to change, I believe, my card 3 or 4 times. And at the beginning, I used someone very cheap. But now, the more I've been in business, I've seen the need even to pay a premium and engage a graphic designer who knows what they are talking about, and come up with something that is a very good reflection of the business and even the quality that I want clients to see in us. So think about the business cards, think about the brochures that we carry around. All those, they must be really high quality because clients will be judging you on that. If you come with a brochure that, like the ones we get on the road, the people who sell real estate and all that, I mean, clients, surely you can't have a brochure for 5 bob and here you are selling a service for 100,000 shillings, 200. No, those two, they have to align. Also think about your website. What impression does someone get when they log into your website? Does it give them a very good idea about your level of professionalism? And lastly, even the social media pages, you also need to look at those. Because yes, the client may not look at them during your first meeting, but when you leave the room, they will probably Google your name, either you as an individual or your company, and if they find funny things on your social media pages, that might also affect your credibility. So take care of your marketing materials. Don't assume, don't say I'm good at what I do and that is what the client is looking for. No, first impression really matters. Then something else that I've seen really key when it comes to first impression is the kind of clients, your current or previous clients that you have in your portfolio. So for example, for me in HR, we've been able to consult for very big companies, institutions, the likes of UN, the likes of Windsor Golf and Country Club, Modaiga, very big hotels, And so when you mention these names to the client is able to see, wow, okay, if those people trusted you, then it means that you are someone who's competent and someone I can be able to trust. Yeah. So I know when you're starting, you may not have a very big portfolio, you may not have dealt with very big names, but I'll tell you, as you go along, look at ways you can be able to draw in clients who will be able to, profile you in a certain way. And a trick that consultants use is sometimes you even charge very low amount just to have this client on board, because when you have them on board, then your fortunes changes. People start looking at you differently. Sometimes you have to do those things to be able to position yourself differently. For example, think if you got Safaricom as one of your clients, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are an accountant, and you list Safaricom as one of your clients, everyone knows Safaricom in this part of the world. That way, they will look at you and say, oh, if Safaricom can give you a consultancy, then it means that you are trustworthy. So if you are pitching for business, to get business from Safaricom, you might even be, they can pay premium, but because you really want them on board, you can charge them a little bit lower so that you have them, they give you your testimonial, and you'll be assured of future business from other clients who look up to Safaricom. And lastly, part of the first impression is how you behave. And here, there's another consultant who told me how he lost business. Why? Because he went for this coffee meeting with his client, and it was during lunch hour, and he bought lunch for the client, but he ended up just taking, I think, some soft drink or something like that. He didn't have money, that's the truth. But the client, it didn't reap a positive image, So, yeah, it might appear as a joke, but think about it. The client, because this is the first interaction, the client is looking at you and reading even between the lines. So if you really don't have money, for the client, what I would recommend is go somewhere either where you are comfortable, or make sure that the meeting is early in the day. So if I invite you as a client, or if you invite a client at 10 a.m., obviously the client is not going to ask for lunch. But if you ask for a meeting at 12:30, or the client confirms for a meeting at 12:30 p.m., it goes without saying, if you're meeting in a restaurant, lunch will come up. Don't embarrass yourself by having a soft drink and then the client is eating here, and people will judge you and they'll go back thinking, oh, that guy is broke, and even if you pay him a deposit or installment, you're never going to see him back. So look at your behavior, even things like and people do this. You've seen people go for meetings, they hire high-end cars. Why? Because they want to leave a certain impression. Yeah, you can't go and you're getting a business of 10 million shillings and here you go walking. Yeah, you may not have a car. Even us, when we began consultancy, some of us were not driving, but you have to use a taxi. The way you even get into that office, the way you get there determines. Yeah. So don't look at this and say, okay, people understand it's my skills which are important. No. First impression really, really counts. Remember, over and beyond the skills that you're offering, people judge us based on first impression. Even you, as you're watching this video, you're looking at the way I'm dressed, you're looking at the way I'm explaining myself, you're looking even at my surrounding, and this is what you determine whether you're going to think whether the information I'm giving you is of importance or not. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching. Remember, whenever you're meeting a client for the first time, you're being interviewed. That's the reality. And when you get to know each other, when you deepen the relationship, then you can drop your guard. You can afford to dress the way you want. You can even tell the client, hey, I've bought you lunch the last 5 times. Boss, buy me lunch also today. You can afford to make those jokes and the client will not mind. But before the client becomes, before you really get to know each other, the two of you, it's really important how you behave. And this is where the first impression comes in. So thank you for watching. I hope the video has taught you 1 or 2 key things when it comes to presenting yourselves to client. And we do have weekly videos touching on how you can be a successful consultant. So do subscribe and I'll be sharing more tips with you. Thank you very much.